Sitting here with Mr. Bob Costas. You work with a lot of great baseball announcers.
Yeah, through the years, Tony Kubek, and now Joe Morgan, Bob Uecker.
Bob Uecker, that's right. Did you ever...
Bob Uecker, by the way, who says that the whole story of his life was pretty much established when he was a high school senior, and the then Milwaukee Braves came to his house. They had scouted him. They came to his home. They sat at the kitchen table with his mother and father and said, "We'd like to sign your son for $5,000. And Uecker's father said, "This family doesn't have that kind of money." and from there, he went on to hit 200 lifetime and make a career out of futility.
Right, right. He does it so well. What about someone like Phil Rizzuto? Have you worked with him?
Yeah, I've never actually worked with Phil Rizzuto, but he's a friend of mine, and sometimes when I'm at Yankee Stadium, I'll drop by the booth. He doesn't do as many games as he used to do, but only a few years ago, he was doing almost all the games. And I'm in the booth with him, and they go to a commercial, and I'm talking to him and looking over his shoulder at his scorecard. Now, every baseball announcer keeps score in their own distinctive way. They use slashes and squiggles and lines and various little alphabet things that indicate one thing or another. And he had in a slot, next to Don Mattingly's name, WW. And I'm thinking, well, W could be a walk, or BB, based on balls, could be a... What is WW? I finally had to ask him. I said, "Phil, what does this mean, WW?" He said, "Wasn't watching." Phil, right on top of the game.
That would come in handy.
Yeah.
What happened there? Wasn't watching. I'm in the clear.
That's it.
I'm only here to announce this game. What about Harry Carey? That a lot of people...
You know, again, we've never worked together, but I live in St. Louis, work in St. Louis, and that's where Harry made his fame as the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals. And if people ever heard him then, in the 50s and 60s, then he was the combination of this great bombastic personality, which he still is, but he was a terrific craftsman and could really call the game accurately. Now he's whatever he is, 78, 108, whatever Harry is, and he just keeps rolling along, and you love him because he's Harry. And you forgive him almost anything he says. So I'm watching a game 3-4 years ago, and, you know, he really roots for the Cubs. He's a fan with a microphone on. He gets disgusted when things happen. So there's a pop-up into shallow center field. The shortstop goes back, loses it, it drops. He turns to Steve Stone and he says, I can't really do a great Harry Carey, but he says, "I want to know this. Here's Jose Vizcaíno. How can a guy from Mexico lose a ball in the sun?" It's a good question. It's a good question. It has to be asked.
You can't ask it in the 1990s,
It has
probably.
to be asked.
Now,
if I say that, I'm history.
That's
Harry
right.
says it, you know,
It's enduring.
Absolutely.
It's repeated.
It's grandfathered in for him.
What we did a show last week. I think it was Thursday. We had Dikembe Mutombo on the show.
The Hawks.
We had him on the show, and this show sometimes takes improbable turns. We start talking about the Three Stooges. He loves the Three Stooges.
Did they have the Three Stooges in Zaire when he was growing up?
Yeah, they said that they showed the Three Stooges in his village, literally in his village. They had a TV and they watched the Three Stooges, and he was a big fan. And we started
an international language, stoogedom.
It kind of is, and I decided whenever we have sports people on, I want to ask them about the Three Stooges. What do you like about the Stooges? Who's your favorite Stooge?
See, now I have a controversial position on this. My position is that the most underrated Stooge is Shemp. He doesn't get the pub. He doesn't get the ink he deserves. He's a utility stooge.
Right.
You know, he's not in the starting lineup. But if somebody goes down, Larry goes down, Curly goes down, Shemp comes off the bench, does a credible job, and then sits back down when the regulars come in.
I think people like Shemp.
Shemp's the man.
People don't voice that, though, which is unfair.
He doesn't get the support he deserves.
What about Curly Joe Besser? Now, he came in later. When they started throwing random curlies, they were picking people up off the street and saying, you're Curly, get in there and go nyuk, nyuk, nyuk.
They were losing altitude fast by the time Curly Joe Besser got there. Yeah, that
you don't like him?
Questionable. Very questionable.
You're going to get mail about this.
A very questionable Stooge. What's your favorite episode?
Of the Stooges?
Yeah.
I like, there's one where they're put in charge of taking care of this ancient Chinese box.
Oh, yeah.
And they have this, and what I love about the Three Stooges is that it always begins with the three of them having this neat, immaculate shop
right.
that they've had for years, and and their job was to restore antiquities. And you're like, wait a minute. And then, of course, the minute the guy comes in, here's an ancient Chinese box. I want you to restore it. Sure, we'll fix it up for you. And the guy leaves. They smash it within seconds.
Right.
Then Mo goes and he gets it and he says, hey, let's glue her up. Like the most, and they take a big glue brush and it's like, wait a minute, you've had an antiquity store which is immaculate for 3 years. What's going on?
And you're right.
I'm sorry, I get heated about this stuff.
And rightly so. And they're always, it's true. And in each episode, they're always able, as you say, to establish themselves in some new exotic profession. But the episode often begins with the three of them either in triple-stacked bunk beds or, more likely, next to one another like three Mrs. Paul's fish sticks, all in a row. Hello, hello, and you know, I mean, I didn't want to infer anything as a 7 or 8 year old, but I found it troubling myself.
That's none of your business.
I guess it wasn't.
What they do.
Don't ask, don't tell stooge policy is really the way I approach it. But if you had to, my favorite, yours is a good one.
Yeah.
But remember the one where they're in the woods and they have to make their own meals, so they're cooking up some flapjacks and whatnot, and they're baking pies.
Yes.
And they put the pies on the windowsill to cool. But a bear keeps coming up and stealing their pies and eating. Just when their back is turned, they're troubled by it. Finally, they figure out that it's the bear. They chase the bear all around the woods with a shotgun, but the bear absconds with their car. And so the last scene, the bear is driving the Model T out of the woods, right?
Right.
Now, at this point, the music's dun, 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 but the key thing is right at the end, and if you're looking for the credits, you miss it. One of the greatest moves in history. The bear extends his left arm to signal for a turn. Tremendous.
It's amazing footage.
You know, there's a lot of traffic in the forest. Someone could run a yellow, and then, then you got a collision with a possum, and you don't know what to happen.
No, he learned it from the owl who taught him. We're over time. I got to do this. No. What? I have to run out? Okay, I found out that Bob Costas claims he can recite all the presidents of the United States ever in 20 seconds. Can you do this?
When I was in 5th grade, I had a pencil box, one of those pencil boxes that had all the presidents of the state capitals or whatever, and I was bored in the back of the class, and I memorized the presidents, and I don't know why it stuck in my head, but it did.
I want to see this. Don't you want to see all the presidents of the United States in 20 seconds? Okay, here we go. Can we have the clock, please? And begin when you wish.
Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, Hayes, Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland again, McKinley, Roosevelt, Taft, Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Reagan.
Happening?
I slowed up because now I'm past 5th grade. Now I got to actually think of Ford, Reagan, Bush, I'm there.
No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. No, you said Ford Reagan.
No, Ford, Carter, Reagan. All right, whatever.
Wait a minute, you
Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton.
I know, you did this amazing feat, and then you get to the end and you're like, who's after Bush?
Well, wait a minute.
What the hell?
Kennedy takes me to 5th grade. After that, I'm on my own.
How could a guy named Costas lose it in the sun? I don't know. Bob, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Conan.
We're huge fans. Bob Costas, everybody. Louis C.K. is coming up. We'll be right back.